Hi there. Welcome to week 2 of quarter 2. This week we are embarking on the Industrial Revolution, slums, and disease. So I'm going to share my screen with you and we're going to take a look at our work for this coming week. And here we go. Okay, so just to remind you, we have live classes every Wednesday at 11 o'clock in Miss Rose's room. Please try to attend these classes. You will get a great deal of work done and learn something. Also, we miss you. So please try to attend the live classes for all your classes. Teachers are working really hard to make live classes fun, interesting, connect with our students who we don't see. So if you can, please put them on your calendar, make an effort to get there. Okay, checkpoint number 2. This is due Friday, the 20th. And I'm going to scroll down here, and we're talking this week about the American industrialized growth of cities, the development of slums, which came with the growing of cities, and the diseases that came with that growth. You've got your vocabulary here: industrialization, capitalization, urbanization, slums, cholera, tuberculosis, arsenic, syphilis, sanatoriums, ethics, and the common good. So industrialization is when you have industry propelling your society. And this is what happened in the late 1800s. Actually started a little earlier. Capitalism is when you are making money and you're primarily making money for private enterprise. This is not state run, it's business run. Urbanization is the growth of cities. That's where the work was, that's where the people came. Slums are the neighborhoods that sprang up to house the thousands and thousands of people that came into cities. And these are not the wealthy. The wealthy don't live in the slums. Cholera, tuberculosis. These are two diseases that we see coming out of crowded cities, and we see them today. These diseases are not over. Arsenic poisoning. People were cooking and using chemicals in factories that contained arsenic, and arsenic was killing people. Syphilis. This was one of the SDSs, social disease of the time. One of the byproducts of poverty is prostitution, and they did not have birth control. They had very crude forms of preventing pregnancy, but the general population was not using anything, and the general population was getting syphilis. Sanatoriums, these are hospitals and almost resort-like places that popped up after the onslaught of tuberculosis in society. Tuberculosis is extremely contagious. So if we look at COVID-19, we see and we can understand a contagious disease in your society. What do you do with it? What do you do with the people who have it? Now, if you're poor, you're probably going to just suffer in your slum. But if you're one of the wealthy and you get tuberculosis, they needed to develop places for you to go and live. We're going to learn about sanatoriums. Ethics. What are the ethics of disease? Can you isolate people who have a disease that's communicable? Can you forcibly isolate them? We can compare this to quarantining, voluntary quarantine that we're experiencing today. What if we don't quarantine? What if we go out there with our COVID? What are the ethics of this? What are ethics? We're going to study that as well. The common good. We've talked about this in my government class. What is the common good? When one thing is good for everybody or the majority of people. Compare that to vaccinations. Some people don't want to be vaccinated. Vaccinations serve the common good. So these are your words for the week. I would like you to research these and fill this in with your definitions. Your activity is a video here on the hygiene during the Industrial Revolution. And you're going to look and see where cholera came from when they were drinking the same water that they were using as sewage. Ooh. Okay, but we live and learn. You're going to go to the Padlet with your response here. Let's take a look at the Padlet. And you should have responded to some things on here last week. If you're not seeing them or you haven't gotten to this Padlet is a place for you to go every week. You need to be here. This list in the middle is a red list full of ideas for your final project, which we are going to cover in more detail. And this list will be growing each week. So make sure you get to your Padlet. Here's your question for this. Cholera was rampant during the period. What exactly was it and where did it come from? You're going to know this answer because you're going to watch that video. Okay, so now we're going to go back. Take a tour to the New York City Tenement Museum. This is a great museum in New York City, the Lower East Side. And you're going to tour the tenement museum and see exactly what these living conditions were like, where people lived, how they combined their home with their business, and half their relatives cramped into small apartments, one on top of the other. We're going to go down to this video and learn about how tuberculosis works. How does it work in your body? What happens to that bacteria when it decides it wants to live in your lungs? And what happens to you? Very interesting. Then we're going to go down to activity 2, which is saving places, sanatoriums. Wealthy people got sick too. Tuberculosis was originally thought to be a disease of the poor. It's not. It gets everybody, just like COVID. So if you were wealthy and you had a relative or yourself who had tuberculosis, you knew you were in this for the long haul. Tuberculosis is very debilitating. You can restore and recover to some degree from tuberculosis. However, you don't really get rid of it. So we're going to learn about these places, these hospitals that were built specifically to house the tubercular. And these existing places are still here. We are working now, the government is working to save them because they are part of historic preservation. We're going to learn more about that. We have one right here in Rhode Island. Okay, selection of evidence. This ties into your reading on the sanatoriums. Prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and care of people with TB raise not only technical issues, but a very important ethical issue that needs to be adequately addressed. For instance, recent cases of involuntary detentions of people with TB in several parts of the world have brought up the question of how to balance individual rights and liberties against the protection of public health. Here again, we have the common good. So this is your ethical question. This is your checkpoint. Checkpoint 2. You are going to answer this question. As the government has directed residents of Rhode Island to isolate, socially distance, and quarantine after exposure to COVID-19 or interstate travel, would it be ethical to isolate in the name of the common good a person against their will? We going against the Bill of Rights here? Not sure. You're going to write a paragraph stating your opinion and the rationale for your opinion. So how do you vote on this? If you have a communicable disease and you don't want to stay home, do you have a right to go out among the masses and perhaps contaminate them? Or does the government have the right to make you stay home and make you quarantine? It's your question. This is your checkpoint 2. I think this is a very interesting week. And again, Don't forget, live class on Wednesday. Please come to live class. 11 o'clock, Miss Rose's room. Okay? And make sure you have all your work from checkpoint 1 done. We're not getting behind this quarter. All right, I'm going to stop sharing this and I'll be seeing you. Okay, sorry about the glare on my glasses, but I need them. Okay, guys, see you soon.